What's up guys, we've gotten the driving test leaving from Birmingham Garretts Green. This one was a 9 AM test in case you wanted to see what the roads are like at this time. Their examiner was the last one to come out, but there was only about 4 people leaving at this test time, so it wasn't too chaotic. So on approach to the exit, you can see you've got the usual trucks blocking the way, making it a little bit harder to emerge out. You would think people in charge of training learners of other types of vehicles would be a bit more considerate, but there we go. The road is quite busy today, lots of large vehicles parked up on the sides. Make sure you're looking plenty ahead and planning on what gaps you're going to move into, like this one here. She checked her centre mirror and left mirror, she moved over to the gap, perfect. If she had have slowed that car down, you could be looking at some potential serious faults there. Some of you may question what would make that a serious fault. Well, the blockage was on their side. So if she emerged and blocked that vehicle when it was their priority, that would go down as a serious fault. You'll notice they entered the hatch markings early. This is 100% allowed. It's more important that you don't block that junction, so you can position into that box nice and early. Just make sure you don't go over the lines into the next lane. At this point here, the examiner won't give you any directions, because at the beginning of the test they say the words, "I would like you to follow the road ahead unless road signs or markings say otherwise." There has been no other signs or markings, so you'd be going straight ahead. Now, I thought there was a few potential gaps here that she could have taken. It's hard to see from the camera side, but normally what I do is I count how long in seconds the gap is. But there wasn't any marks for hesitation. I don't know, let me know what you guys would have done if you would have taken any of the gaps. With this gap, there was enough space for all vehicles to continue, but at a reduced space. Try to remember, If there is less space, you have less haste. You'll notice they're not going the full speed limit because the view ahead isn't fantastic. The car behind is quite close, but they don't let it pressure them into going faster. Remember, the speed limit is a limit, it's not a target. Now, when I first saw this footage, I presumed they'd be going straight ahead, as that's the most common direction. There's quite a few test routes go that way, but they actually turn back to the left, which heads back towards the test centre. So this is another example of each test route they can mix up however they want. The sat nav's now set up for them to do their independent driving. Now, this is a very common area. A lot of people in Birmingham will do their beginning lessons around here because it has everything that you need and it's very close to the test centre. There's a T-junction coming up, one that they've done many times. Been asked to take the next road on the left. Because of the vehicles parked up on the side, you can only fit one oncoming vehicle. They checked to the right and left and it was clear at that point, but as they emerged, they don't have that last check. There was a vehicle that was already correctly established and they got asked to stop and it did slow down the VW. Because the VW was coming through and they did slow down, it went through as a serious fault. It was also at this point that they'd realised that they had got a serious fault. They did go 10 minutes in their test without a single fault, which was amazing, but now prepare for the downward spiral, which is normally what happens. So here they have an angled start. This is where they move out with the vehicle in front of them. It's just to make sure that you recognise there's a car in front of you, you apply the right steering, you don't get too close to it. Looking far ahead, they notice that there's a car with the door open. They give them plenty of space and they don't get too close. At this junction, they did have a clear gap to go. The white van was going straight ahead and his positioning was saying that also. They held back a bit and they did pick up one minor fault here. Because they're now in a one-way road, if at the roundabout you're turning right, you must remember position to the right. For straight ahead and left, you'd still position to the far left, but remember, one-way lanes, if you're turning right, stick to the right. A lot of people dread this roundabout because it can get extremely busy at times. Remember, a gap will eventually appear. They see a gap, they take the opportunity, and then they accelerate in. Take note of the silver car behind. My learner is building up the speed appropriately and they are moving over to the correct side. The silver car behind thinks it's a clever idea to overtake them and give them just a few inches space. Was there any need for that? Absolutely not. Maybe they should be taking their driving test again. So my learner knows that eventually their lane is going to be running out, so at the moment they'll be checking their right mirror and finding a good suitable gap to move over to the right. It's a little bit busier than normal, but they do manage to find a suitable gap to squeeze in. Now initially I thought it might have been a bit close because of the blue car that was behind, but again they didn't pick up any faults down this stretch. No, I didn't sit in on this test, but the debrief we had was fantastic. Now this road, it gets challenging. You can see there's multiple cars that want to fit through. What they do is they follow the car in front through, so they're not actually slowing anyone down, they're just following other vehicles through. This is completely acceptable. You can do this. Use it as an opportunity to squeeze through as well, as long as you know that the cars that are waiting are not also going to push their way through. So remember, whichever side of the road is blocked, the people on that side, they lose priority. If both sides are blocked, neither has priority. It's whoever first enters the road, then gains priority over the other. One thing to remember is priority is given, it's not taken. Don't be forceful. Now with this roundabout, they approach it absolutely fine. It's a single lane roundabout, so they can be on the inside, they can be on the outside. 12 o'clock rule doesn't matter as much. But they think they're too far out, so they go to move to the left and they steer too much and end up mounting the curb. If you want to see it a bit slower, you can see it on my profile with it explained what actually happened there. Here they've been asked to pull up on the left again. I'll be honest, I think this one was just to let my learner have a bit of a breather, as after you've done something like hit the curb, let's face it, you know that you failed. So the examiner was being a bit nice here. I think the pullover was just so they can catch their breath a bit. Now, when it comes to speed bumps, you are expected to reduce the speed slightly for them. You'll notice that one was hit quite hard. Now, the speedo at the bottom is not very accurate. They did pick up a minor for use of speed. Now, I absolutely hate this roundabout. It is only a little one, but the cars come around it quite fast, the view isn't fantastic, and because of the height of it as well, you can't see the indicators of the cars on the other side. So when you have your gap, you've just got to take it. And that's exactly what they do. There's not any kind of clear, obvious gaps that they miss at this point. It is quite a hard one to emerge from. They are waiting here a while, but they don't take any faults for this because it's not safe to go. When coming off, I always recommend that you scan the crossing just to make sure nobody is about to use it. You'll notice here space is restricted, but it's not actually on my learner's side, it's from the other side. She reduces her speed anyway, the correct thing to do. Less space, less haste. And you'll notice that they haven't done a maneuver yet. We all know what that means. So this one, it confused me a little bit because the manoeuvre is meant to include some reversing. Now, in this test, they do a forward bay park, but they don't actually reverse out of it. So they start their line up and they get a good approach. They are observing at the moment. You may think, why aren't you doing it in one go? It's because there's people everywhere at the moment. She did the right thing. She observes there's something going on to the right. You guys can't quite see it at the moment. She starts to move in. She gets in okay. It is a bit crooked and ever so slightly touching the lines at the front. She only picks up a minor fault for this. Not quite sure why. It wasn't anything else or why they didn't get to adjust it.